Hey everyone, it's Shani here from Homemade Kitchen. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be showing you how to make honey sriracha meatballs, so stay tuned for more. The first thing we're going to do is make our meatballs. Now you're going to need a dish to mix your meatballs in and either a cutting board and knife or scissors to cut up your green onions and your garlic. Other ingredients that you're going to need for the meatballs are breadcrumbs, salt and pepper, and eggs. Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is open my meat. You can use any kind of ground meat that you desire. I prefer to use ground beef when I have it, and then ground turkey if I don't have any ground beef. Next, I'm going to go ahead and cut up my green onions and my garlic. Now, I clipped these from my garden, green onions, not garlic, but all they were the bottoms of some store-bought green onions that I just planted in some soil and they regrew. We're going to go ahead and toss that in with our hamburger, and then we're going to do the same with the garlic. Now, this part completely depends on how much you and your family enjoy garlic. We have it in just about everything. So we like lots of garlic. You can use garlic powder. You don't have to use fresh, but I prefer to use fresh when I have it. So I'm just going to crush that and we'll cut it up and toss it in with our meat and onions. Next, I'm going to season it. I'm going to put a little bit of salt and some pepper in there. Next, we're going to add some breadcrumbs. I normally do 2 handfuls, so that's about a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup. And if you feel like they're not sticking very well, you can always add more. The last thing we're going to add are 2 eggs. These are going to serve as a binder alongside the breadcrumbs to really help keep these mixed together well. Now you're ready. If you prefer not to get your hands dirty, that's fine. You can use a spoon or a fork. I really feel like getting my hands in there and getting everything really mixed in well, and it's going to hold together. So you want to go ahead and combine this really, really well. In order to make some good, tasty meatballs. Now, I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands, and then we will go ahead and form the meatball. Like I said earlier, if your meat combination is a little bit too wet, you can always add more breadcrumbs. And if you are doing something low carb or just don't want to have breadcrumbs, you can always substitute quinoa instead of those. So you're just going to make... Sorry, the babies are playing. You're going to form your meatballs, whatever size that you like. I do mine about this big, not terribly huge. You can do mini meatballs if you want. It's really totally up to you what size you want. Those meatballs formed, we're ready to start on our rice. You can use any variety of rice with this dish. Today I'm going to use white rice. I also have used jasmine rice before, and you can use brown rice. I'm just going to make a cup of rice. And what I'm going to do first is rinse it off really well. Now that I have that stirred in there, I'm going to go ahead and drain this, and then I will add water back in. The reason why you want to rinse your rice is because all of that white stuff that was in the water is what's going to make that rice really sticky, and we don't want to have sticky rice, so I wanted to rinse all of that away before I continued. Now I did a cup of rice, so I'm going to add about 1.25 cups of water. And then we're just gonna turn that on medium high and cover it and let it cook. Now for my broccoli, I'm going to wait until right before we eat to start this because I don't want it to get too mushy. And I'm just gonna put it in a steamer pot. I'll go ahead and put water in the bottom and then wait to turn it on until we're ready to eat. Now it's time to turn on your skillet and add some oil. I'm going to turn this on a medium low to medium heat because we don't want it to cook the meatballs too quickly. And I'm going to put a couple of tablespoons of coconut oil in my skillet. We're going to let that melt down, and once the pan is nice and hot, we'll add our meatballs. All right, our pan is nice and hot. We're going to go ahead and add those meatballs. You're going to want to keep a pair of tongs on hand or a fork so that you can easily turn your meatballs when it's time. You want to brown these on all sides, and we're keeping this at a low temperature because this is how we're cooking them. If you would like to bake your meatballs, you can do that rather than cooking them in a pan. You would bake them at 375 for 20 to 25 minutes, but I like to cook them this way. While our meatballs are cooking, we're going to go ahead and start on the sauce. You will need a saucepan for this, and the first thing is the Sriracha sauce. Now, the recipe calls for 1/4 cup, and I found when I made that was way too hot. Like way, way too hot. So we are just doing half of that. We're going to do 1/8 cup. That's about, let's see, an ounce or so of Sriracha sauce. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on to a medium temperature. Next, we're going to add our soy sauce. And I'm using reduced sodium soy sauce. You can use whatever you prefer. We're going to add 3 tablespoons. Okay. The next thing is some rice vinegar. That's also 3 tablespoons. Next, we're adding 3 tablespoons of honey. The last 3 ingredients are going to be ginger, garlic, and sesame oil. Now, I didn't have fresh ginger or sesame oil on hand, but instead of worrying about that for the recipe, it's going to be just fine to put some ground ginger in there. So I'm going to put about 1/2 teaspoon of that ginger in there. If you have fresh, I would put a tablespoon in there. And then the recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon of sesame oil, and I'm just going to put about 1/2 teaspoon of these sesame seeds in there. It's still going to give it that sesame, like, nutty flavor that we're looking for, even though I don't have sesame oil. So don't worry if you don't have the ingredients, because you can always find something that will work. And then with this garlic, I'm just going to crush the garlic and put it in there, because I'm going to end up taking this garlic out. I'm not going to leave the chunks in the sauce. Okay, and then I'm going to stir that up. And you want it to reduce a little bit, just so that it's a little bit thicker. So we're going to let it simmer for about 8 to 10 minutes. The rice has been in here for about 10 minutes. That is perfect. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put the cover back on, and we're gonna turn that off, move it off of the. All right, let's check those meatballs. Remember to have your tongs ready. Ooh, you can hear it sizzling. If you are cooking them in a pan, make sure to be gentle. Don't just rip them off or the meatballs will fall apart. As you see, I'm kind of just wiggling them just a little bit to get them loose. And if they aren't coming loose, I just move on to the next one. If you're baking your meatballs, you are going to want to, about halfway through, take them out and turn them over and then put them back in for the remainder of the time. Let's check on that sauce. Now that it is almost to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and turn it down and cover it. And we'll let that thicken up. Once you've browned your meatballs, you're going to want to go ahead and turn that temperature down, put the cover on, and let them cook the rest of the way through. Now that our meatballs are cooked, I'm going to go ahead and toss them in our sauce. And I'm going to pour the sauce right in this pan to keep it all warm together. If you've baked your meatballs, feel free to put them in a bowl and then mix the sauce in with them. I'm actually going to take these chunks of garlic out first, just because we don't want to get a big mouthful of that. We've gotten the nice flavor from it, and now we can set that aside to throw away later. Okay, I'm going to dump it in. That almost deglazed the pan there. That's awesome. So I've turned the heat off because I don't want this to burn any, and I'm actually going to remove it from the heat, but I'm going to keep the lid on to keep everything warm. And then whenever we are ready to dish it up, it'll be perfect.
There you have it, guys. These delicious honey sriracha meatballs with rice and steamed broccoli. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching today. If you are interested in more videos like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my blog, The Homemade Mama. The link is in the description below. Thanks. See you guys next time.